Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Tuesday Tanak and News briefing. Um, the, the 4th of August, 26. Okay, my main topic will be the governor's secret of a $50 billion AI deal that they made with Meta. As it got exposed. We're gonna deal with that. Play the video, then we're gonna deal with what was exposed. Okay. You go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing or receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. Also, for those that want to support the channel, help it move along, that too will be greatly appreciated. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, from Genesis to Malachi, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, Lord of Hosts. This channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity and also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Tuesday Tanakh and News Briefing. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, and the Psalms. Then we have, like I said, we got a topic for discussion. It's the governor's secret of a $50 billion AI deal that was made. Okay, and we're going to deal with how it got exposed. Okay, like I said, this is our Tuesday Tanakh and news briefing, and the objective of this briefing is to combine this Tanakh with current events and end times prophecies. Okay, so then we'll pick a scripture at the end, and we'll break that scripture down, and then we'll open it up for our Q&A at the end of the class. Questions, comments, and dialogue, and any testimonies. We'll go into that, then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, I pray unto the Lord my God. We make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee and to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of face as it is this day, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off through all the countries whither thou hast driven us, because of our trespass that we trespassed against thee. O Lord, hear this prayer, cause thy face to shine upon thy people in thy sanctuary for your sake. O Lord, open thine eyes and incline thine ears to hear, and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do, and defer not, for thy own sake, for your people and your land needs you desperately at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay? We'll read a song right quick. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalm 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder, cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak to them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. and I will declare the decree. The Lord has said unto me, Thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, and thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, and be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, rejoice with trembling, kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Okay? And like I said before, I read this on several occasions, and we see who the son is. David is the son, okay? And the Lord of hosts is the God that's over Israel. Michael is the God that's over Israel. And David just told us that in verse 7, the Lord said, I will declare a decree. The Lord has said unto me, David talking, the Lord has said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Right? So Samuel anointed him. Okay? And then when we get over here, and we see where it says, verse 10, be wise, ye therefore, O ye kings, and be instructed, ye judges of the earth. So what is that? What is this verse talking about? If you go back to Deuteronomy chapter 2, you see when Israel came out of Egypt, they had all these kings, all these giant nations all over the place. They had kings over them. And so we already know the Lord of hosts had already promised to Abraham that he was going to bring his seed out of captivity, which was in Egypt, and then he brought him, going to bring them back to the land, and they were going to possess the land. So he putting them on notice right here. Watch out. You know what I'm saying? I got my son David on the throne, and submit to him, or you're gonna perish. And we already know what happened. We know what happened to all those kings, the Sion, and all those kings of the Amorites, and all the kings of the mountains, and all that. They wiped out. Okay. Any comments on that? What's up, James? Okay. What's up, AJ? Okay.
Shalom.
So
And
yeah, let me know.
shalom, brother
Go
Leonard.
ahead.
I'm sorry, your volume is lower than normal.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see where it's how to bring it up. It's low now.
That's better than it was.
Okay. Okay, I might be okay. So yeah. So let me see what's up with this. So I don't know who this is, but it said, can we ask sincere questions? Yeah, we have our Q&A at the end of the class. This is a non-Messianic channel, so if um you got some sincere questions about why we non-Messianics, and I can break that down. But if you're trying to convince me that about JC, uh, you know, might as well get some roller skates. Okay. Yes, I'm non-Messianic. We just a non-Messianic channel. We don't deal with the New Testament. Old Testament on. Okay, yeah, we got our Q&A at the end of the class. So yeah, if you hang around, you know what I'm saying, this will be your lucky day because you can get on the right track. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to our current events. Start out with our I'm gonna deal with this AI situation about this AI built disease. Let me play that. Then we'll talk about it.
What if I told you that the
Okay, my bad.
governor of Louisiana conspired with Meta in order to build a $50 billion B AI center? I mean, damn. Let's put them up. Put them up. $50 billion. New York Times report just exposed how Meta secretly landed a $50 billion AI data center in Louisiana. It only took 9 months for the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, to see the light. Meta executives, Entergy Corporation, and local officials secretly orchestrated one of the largest AI data centers on the planet Earth. Now the cover is blown. So a bombshell new report from the New York Times just exposed what really went down behind the scenes to fast track the project that local Black residents will be forced to pay for in more ways than one. We've been covering this from Tennessee to Georgia and beyond about government officials, typically Republicans, but there are some Democrats who have been involved in this scheme. They will organize behind the scenes, off record, in order to fast track these AI deals. Now, we didn't know for sure where the smoking gun was, but we knew there was smoke and there was a gun somewhere. This story reveals it all. $50 billion. To uncover the paper trail, New York Times combed through corporate filings. They combed through tax records. They combed through land deeds and meeting transcripts, interviewing dozens of residents across New Orleans, Silicon Valley, Baton Rouge, and Richland Parish. What they unearthed is what some call nothing short of corporate leverage and public betrayal, as the project was approved without any public meeting and an independent administrative judge confirming whether the project was in the public's best interest. Longtime Black residents are either forced out of their homes. This is where the environmental racism comes in. They're either forced out of their homes or required to deal with pollution, both air and noise pollution alike. While Silicon Valley reaps all the profits, quote, Black communities face the highest impact from AI and data centers because they're already disproportionately impacted by climate change, which is driven by CO2 emitted in part by the energy production involved in running data center. End quote. That's according to Climate Justice Alliance. The energy these data centers require could raise utility prices in areas where Black households already have difficulty paying their utility bills, the organization reported. The erecting of AI data centers has gotten so damaging, the NAACP has stepped up to stop, quote, stop dirty data center, end quote, in a nationwide campaign. The fallout of the AI center boom doesn't just damage the environment. It directly threatens Black families' livelihood. That's according to Climate Justice Alliance. AI automation threatens to wipe out food service and hospitality jobs in industries disproportionately held by Black and, I must say, brown workers, adding to the existing gap in Black wealth. In one big swoop, health standards and job security are eliminated with little to no consequence. All right, so you probably wonder, well, how in the hell can elected officials who are subject to public disclosure, transparency, the Sunshine Act, etc. How can they get away with doing this? I'm going to get to that in just a moment, but I want to remind everybody, I want to remind everyone that the environmental dynamic, the racism that's involved in environmental injustice is there because of corporate greed. It's just an elephant with lipstick or whatever. It's the same damn thing. These individuals are simply trying to make more money. They've done this with energy. They've done this with oil. They would do this with whatever the asset or commodity may be. We get drawn to the commodity, but the background, the cause that creates the effect is the exact same, and it is corporate greed. Corporate greed. So they did this because of non-disclosure agreements between Meta, Entergy, and government representatives, even the lawmakers voting to green light the deal. And I just want to say this, we get the story, we understand it. If you are active in your local city council, if you happen to be active and involved in what happens legislatively in your state, this is the question you ask. If there's a proposal for one of these data centers, ask the question, have you signed an NDA? And if they have, their answer will be, I'm not going to answer that question. Or I don't have to answer that question. If they've already signed the NDA, the contract is already done.
Okay. You got anything on that? What you think? You heard anything about it?
Right, yes, sir. And that like you said, I have heard about that. Like you just said, if the person you're talking to, if they've signed an NDA, or you have an indication of that, then the contract's already going forward. But I wanted to say, Brother Leonard, that they said it's a $50 billion investment. Um, ain't nothing stopping that. Talking about going to the courts and all that, they ain't gonna do nothing.
No. Like you were saying, they already bypassed all that.
Right.
And what it is all these politicians getting their pockets lined. All
Hmm.
the people that's
That's over.
the
Yeah.
the politicians, the ones that, because 9 times out of 10, if you deal with that type of situation, it's politicians involved.
Right.
People in high offices, they getting their pockets lined. Okay.
Like, kickback.
Oh yeah.
Israel just emptied another 30,000 residents out of its northern communities, not because the most sophisticated air defense network on earth failed, but because the arithmetic underneath it just turned against it. On August 2nd, 2026, the Israeli Home Front Command ordered the evacuation of another 30,000 residents from the northern communities near the Lebanese border. The official statement called it a temporary expansion of the evacuation zone. Western headlines treated it as routine wartime logistics. Israel expands northern evacuations as Hezbollah fire intensifies. That is the frame you were given. But here is the sentence almost nobody paused on. The same communique noted that the volume of incoming rockets and drones over the previous 72 hours had exceeded the cumulative total of the prior 3 weeks. That is not a spike, that is a structural change in tempo. And that change raises the real question. What does it mean when a state that spent 2 decades building the most sophisticated multi-layer air defense network on the planet is forced to empty entire towns simply because the sky is too full? I call this the saturation trap. The idea is simple. When an attacker can generate more threats per hour than the defender can intercept, process, and replace, The defender's technological edge collapses into a pure arithmetic problem. You do not need to penetrate every battery. You only need to force the defender to spend interceptors faster than they can be resupplied or reloaded. That is the trap, and the northern evacuation is not a humanitarian footnote. It is the public admission that the arithmetic has turned. This framework is worth sitting with for a moment because it overturns an assumption deeply embedded in Western coverage of Israeli missile defense. For years, Iron Dome has been presented as an almost mythical symbol of technological invulnerability, a shield that simply works in a binary sense. The saturation trap demonstrates that the question was never binary. No missile defense system, however sophisticated, maintains a 100% interception rate at infinite volume. The only question that actually matters is the ratio between the volume of threats generated and the system's processing capacity, short-term adjustment mechanism rather than a last resort. There is also a parallel economic dimension worth mentioning: the cost of reconstruction and insurance in areas directly hit by the fire that still gets through even at an interception rate that remains high in absolute terms. A 90% interception rate sounds impressive as a percentage, but when daily volume climbs from a few dozen to several hundred projectiles, the remaining 10% represents an absolute number of impacts that grows proportionally, with direct consequences for insurance premiums on civilian and military infrastructure in the border zone. Cautionary, not evidence of systemic failure. American resupply will close any temporary gap, and Hezbollah's own inventory is finite. Sustained high-tempo fire will exhaust the attacker before it exhausts the defender. That argument has surface plausibility. It is also the argument that has been made, with minor variations at every previous escalation threshold since the start of the conflict. One could even strengthen it further by noting that Israel has a domestic defense industry historically capable of accelerating production during a crisis, and that the country has previously absorbed prolonged rocket campaigns without its defense network collapsing. Is succeeding. Narrative victories matter in attrition contests. If the other side starts claiming that the sky itself is forcing Israeli civilians out of their homes, the psychological dimension of the trap tightens. Fourth indicator, which I am adding to this list: economic signals concerning Israel's own defense industry, particularly announcements of accelerated hiring or capital investment in Tamir production plants. A visible acceleration in domestic production would signal that the Israeli government now treats the interceptor shortfall as a long-term strategic priority rather than a problem solved solely through ad hoc American transfers.
Okay, what you think about that? They got 30,000 there to evacuating out of Israel. It's looking good.
Right. That doesn't sound like it. So these are obviously Jews that are fleeing, but not Zionists, Berlin.
Yeah, these Israelis.
But it is okay.
Right, it's 30,000. So they say being evacuated out of it because of these rockets coming in from Iran.
Right.
So yeah, so we're gonna keep an eye on that. And these people they lie so much. Keep an eye on it. Okay, check this out.
Israeli officials found out through a Truth Social post, not a phone call, not a briefing, a public social media post from the President of the United States. That's how Israel learned its closest ally had just canceled a massive coordinated military operation months in the making. Before we walk through exactly how this happened and exactly what Israeli military leadership actually said about it, hit like on this video right now. Subscribe if you want the full, accurate breakdown instead of just the headline. And share this with anyone who assumes America and Israel coordinate every single military decision perfectly. because this specific episode reveals something considerably more complicated happening behind the scenes. Here's the honest, complete account of exactly what happened, and it starts with just how significant the planned operation actually was. The United States and Israel had been preparing what multiple sources described directly to CBS News as one of the harshest bombing campaigns to date against energy infrastructure targets inside Iran. This wasn't a routine strike. This was described as a powerful joint bombing campaign, months in the making, targeting Iran's core energy infrastructure directly. Israeli readiness for this specific operation had been intensified significantly. According to Israeli defense reporting, that readiness included targeted call-ups in several Israeli Air Force units, a real, tangible mobilization of actual personnel and actual aircraft, not simply a theoretical planning exercise. Then, late on a Saturday night, everything changed. President Trump posted directly on Truth Social, the social media platform he personally owns. The U.S. is locked and loaded and ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran, he wrote, at levels of military terror, strength, and power not seen since World War II. In that very same post, he announced he was canceling the attack. We have just been asked by Iran and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack, he wrote, because the perimeters of a deal had been agreed to. He added one more specific detail, directly naming Israel. The country of Israel joins me in this commitment, Trump wrote. That single sentence is exactly where this entire story becomes genuinely significant, because according to multiple separate Israeli news outlets, Israel hadn't actually been consulted before that sentence was published. Channel 12 reported directly that Israeli officials found out that Trump had decided to call off the major planned attack through his Truth Social post specifically. Not before it, not alongside it. Through it, reading the exact same public announcement everyone else in the world was reading at the exact same moment. That same Channel 12 report added another detail worth sitting with directly. U.S. Central Command itself, the American military body actually responsible for executing operations in this region, also wasn't told ahead of time, according to that same Israeli outlet. Think about what that actually means. If accurate, the sitting American president announced the cancellation of a major joint military operation on his own personal social media account before informing either his own military's regional command structure or the allied government that was supposed to be participating directly in that exact operation. It's worth understanding that this wasn't actually the first time in this exact war that Israel and Washington's public signals had diverged so sharply, because an earlier episode reveals this tension has genuinely deep roots. Back in June, during an earlier ceasefire, Trump had announced publicly that Israel had called off a planned attack at his command, specifically to preserve an hours-old truce. All planes will turn around and head home, Trump wrote at the time, while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Israeli and Iranian media reported new Israeli airstrikes occurring anyway, just minutes after that announcement. 2 explosions were heard in Tehran that same night, with Israeli army radio confirming a strike on an Iranian radar site near the capital. Trump, in that earlier episode, had actually posted a direct, urgent public message specifically addressed to Israel. Israel, do not drop those bombs, he wrote. Bring your pilots home now. A reporter for Axios later revealed that Netanyahu had told Trump directly that Israel would scale back its bombing mission rather than fully cancel it, a genuinely significant distinction from what Trump had originally publicly announced. Elevated defensive posture, based specifically on anticipating American decisions he did not ultimately control. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, delivered his own pointed public statement on this exact broader dynamic, telling graduating military pilots that Israel remained prepared to regain air superiority and carry out independent Israeli strikes in Iran to remove threats, even for a third time. If we need to return, he added directly, we will return with even greater force. That specific language, even for a third time, reveals something genuinely important about how exhausting this entire cycle has become for Israel's own senior leadership. Or psychologically, rather than visibly alarming its own population with every single shift in Washington's posture, Israel's leadership has consistently opted to maintain routine appearances, even during moments like this one, when the underlying diplomatic reality was genuinely uncertain and genuinely confusing, even to senior officials themselves. Let's talk honestly about why Israel's government chose to respond to all of this with silence, because that specific choice reveals a great deal about the delicate political position Israel currently occupies. According to Ynet's own reporting, the Israeli public continues to endure daily uncertainty over whether the country could be drawn deeper into this confrontation with Iran. Yet the government, and that same reporting specifically noted, has again remained silent, apparently wary of being portrayed internationally as the side pushing for war. That's a genuinely difficult, delicate balance for any government to maintain. Israel's own military leadership has repeatedly publicly signaled readiness and even eagerness to strike Iran directly. But Israel's political leadership has consistently chosen public silence. specifically to avoid being cast internationally as the party driving escalation, even during moments as genuinely confusing and diplomatically awkward as this specific one.
Okay, you got anything on that? Says the Israeli generals they furious at Trump because he called off the strike, scaled it back. What do you think?
I I see the tensions keep escalating between them two.
But yeah, like I say, it's all orchestrated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So with that being said, check this out. We'll, we're gonna play this till we'll talk about it. What you think? Okay.
What's up, family? Where do you get a load of this? We got Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves blaming attorney Ben Crump and Al Sharpton for stoking racial division in Mississippi. Stoking racial division in Mississippi? Division? Them stoking it. Let me tell you something, man. Mississippi don't need no help stoking racial division. These uncivilized mutts can do it all by themselves. They've never needed any help. They are the best at doing it. The absolute best. But you know what? Let's just give them a chance to speak. Officials, against possible witnesses, and against the folks that are involved in this investigation and the family, then you are also committing a criminal act, and that's going to be taken very, very seriously. He don't want them to get justice. He don't want the family to get justice. I thought that's what civil rights attorneys were for. Like, if the law is not doing their job, then the civil rights people come in, they stand up and say, hey, we'll help you out. We'll fight for justice in the United States of America. We'll exercise our First Amendment rights to assemble and to protest and to speak freely, right? So he don't want to be exposed. Ah, maybe that's what it is. See, that's what happens when you go too far with your corruption. You get exposed. And see, they don't want the prying eyes of the nation on Mississippi because Mississippi got a way of doing things that circumvents the law. What the good governor really is trying to say is, get the hell out of my state, boy. You better get from around here, boy. That's what he's saying. Yeah. He don't want the prying eyes of the nation on Mississippi. Mississippi stoking racial division. They don't need outsiders to stoke racial division. But one thing that they like their blacks quiet. They want them to suffer quietly. Don't you go out there, don't get out there getting out of line now, boy, going out there asking for help. Go tell those people what's going on down here now. That's gonna be a problem. Now you get on up out here now. Yeah. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out if any intervening non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death of Nolan Wells. Understand, he's saying based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. Based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. That's why he's mad. Yeah, fam. Before I play this next video and show you why he's really mad, like really, really, really mad, I want to share something with y'all. Check this out. What do y'all think this is? These are pictures from the good governor's yearbook. This is when he attended Millhouse College in Mississippi. This dude is in a fraternity where they're wearing blackface They got a group picture dressed in Confederate clothing. These are uncivilized mutts who are the primary reason why America is stuck. This is when he was a member of Kappa Alpha Order, right? This is Tate Reeves. This is the yearbook, 1993. This is the yearbook. This is his fraternity. This is his background. This is where he come from, fam. You know what I'm saying? He claims that he wasn't part of it. He claims that he didn't participate in blackface. But look at these guys to the bottom right. Look at those. Look at those guys wearing blackface. This is his fraternity. These are the guys that he hung out with. These are the people that he called friends. These are the people that he called friends. Friends. How many of us have them? Let's be friends, is what Tate told his blackface wearing partners in the fraternity. Let's be friends. He joined that fraternity knowing that's what they was about, right? See, gone are the days that you can just hang around some racist folks and say, well, that's not me. Like, don't try to pull a Jerry Jones. Remember Jerry Jones was the Cowboys owner? He was in that photograph with that mob preventing the little black girl from going into the school. He was right there in the middle with that little stupid ass grin on his face. And then when the picture come out 40 years later, he say, well, you know, I was just there. I didn't do anything. I wasn't really stopping them. Yeah, but you were there. You were part of it. So that's Governor Tate at the bottom to the left, that picture at the bottom left, but he's on the right, looking goofy as ever. That's him. These are his fraternity brothers. And you better believe he's keeping in contact with at least a few of them. Believe that. Yeah, the fact that you think you can hang out with them and kick it with them, and you can participate in everything but blackface, that you're not a racist, you tell me, Tate, who's really stoking the flames of racism? Who's really stoking racial division in Mississippi? You a good old boy. Went to school in Mississippi. You kept the tradition going. You, more than anybody, could have made sure that justice was served immediately. As the DA, just as arrogant as the medical examiner. All of them. They want this case to go away immediately, and they don't want it to go away with justice. They want it to go away with injustice, which is something they're really, really good at. That's what they're mad about. Here's another thing that they're mad about. You see that dude in the middle? They mad. They're really mad at the speech Al Sharpton gave.
What we've been told does not make sense. And being that there is lack of confidence in the local authorities who have already, in my judgment, seemed to mishandle where it was going.
Boom. That's what they're mad about. He called them out.
Because to just immediately, before a week, nothing done wrong, when we hear that this young man was engaged in some kind of argument that was on tape, that his cell phone and keys ended up with one of the people that were there on the island and got away. He was one black with three young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys. Then there's just too many questions that they should not be closing the investigation. Now, I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm a little different than some of y'all. I was built different. My nose is out here, my eyes are here, my brain is here, which means some things I can smell before I could see and before I can figure out. This does not smell right. So some people are saying, Reverend, are y'all bringing in race? Well, we're not bringing in race, but we're not discounting race either, because we don't know what it is. So to tell us don't rush to judgment saying he was racist is fine. But then I'm telling you, don't rush to judgment saying it was not racism, because we do not know. We do know what these parents are being told and what the parents have now shared with us does not make sense. How do you end up a young, promising football player, not in trouble, mother and daddy at home, everything we tell him to do and be? They go on the 4th of July, on the anniversary of this country, going to an island, we're outing with his friends. And the friends come back, and he's left there with some story about, he said, leave them behind. But then by some magic, one of the friends has his keys and his phone. Mind you, his mother tracked down the phone. They didn't voluntarily tell her they had his phone. They didn't voluntarily say they had the keys. So if they had not been tracked down, we don't know if they ever would have known where it was. Some of this doesn't make sense. So we are absolutely in National Action Network and other groups going to rally behind this family. I have told them that whatever we can and need to do, we will do it. The phone with Tyler Perry, the actor who says he wants to help cover whatever expenses for the funeral.
Well, there you have it, fam. That's why the governor is mad. He ain't mad at the detectives for not working the case fast enough. He's not mad at the medical examiner for sending the body to DC with missing organs that are vital to determining the manner of death. He ain't mad at the EMS. He ain't mad at the searchers for not finding the body sooner. He ain't mad at the friends for wiping their social media accounts, for inconsistent stories, for going dark, for not attending the funeral.
Okay, what you think? What you got? Okay, yeah. So like he said, this governor, he mad for all the wrong reasons because of what's coming forth, and then like he said, what's going on in Mississippi is being reviewed, looked at, exposed. Okay. So with that being said, let me go to this next video.
All right, well, I'm going to show y'all. Happy Monday. Hope everybody out there had an awesome weekend and you're having a great day today. But prepare yourself because I got a lot to get to. So in just a second, Trump has mentally snapped over the weekend and he's yelling at his own team and all hell is breaking loose. So I'm going to go through all of that for you. Yet another, I don't know, 100 post meltdown over on Live Social, where one post is more deranged than the next and it's packed full of AI slop and stuff that you would put your grandfather in a home for. So we'll talk about that. We also have Trump bombing a toddler in Iran at the same time that we're learning the war is completely and utterly lost. That's not according to me. That's according to now multiple experts who've come out and said the same thing. We'll also get to a Trump depression looming because there's a massive crash happening with the Japanese yen, and the U.S. is rushing in to bail it out and backstop it. So We're already beginning to see the cracks in the global economic system, and make no mistake about it, all of this is directly because of the illegal war against Iran and the Strait of Hormuz being shut. So we'll talk about that. Also, a secret Israeli op to rat fuck Spain has been exposed. I'm sure you guys have seen some chatter about this so far. Of course, I'm talking about, I believe it's Ceuta is how you pronounce it. It's a Spanish enclave that's close to Morocco, and Israel came up with a devious plan to get back at Spain simply for being pro-Palestine. So we'll dive into that as well. And later on, the wife-beater MAGA psycho, Max Miller, came out and gave an address and refused to drop out of his race, and he doubled down and tripled down and basically humiliated himself on the global stage and exposed yet again how the Republican Party is nothing but a fascist, terrorist, imperialist death cult packed full of abusers and sickos. So we'll talk about that as well. You guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, y'all, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser or done an ad read. I'm very proud of that fact. You guys have made that possible. So thank you for everybody who gives $1 a month or $2 a month or $5 a month or tips with the thanks button on YouTube. That all makes a big difference. Also, you can sign up for Crystal Kylan Friends on Substack. Bro, highly recommend you go listen to the full Rania Khalek interview, because Rania Khalek has been subpoenaed by the Trump regime because she's covering all of Trump's crimes. So this is directly because of NSPM 7 and the new Red Scare. Definitely go watch that interview if you haven't watched it yet. Also, help out Breakthrough News, who, like I said, are under attack by Trump and his fascist brigade. And then also, of course, go sub to Corn's World. We do live Kyle and Corn episodes every Monday night at 8:30. And that he failed miserably and the reflecting pool wasn't fixed, and he's self-dealing. So trying to scapegoat and saying guys like this are the reason why the reflecting pool is messed up. Trump forced Jeanine Pirro to bring charges against this guy who simply touched the reflecting pool water. And then, you're not going to be surprised to learn, they had to drop the charges. Why? Because they have fuck all. They have absolutely nothing. What are you going to do when you actually get in front of a judge? Sir, our fat pedophile war criminal president would like to lock this guy up with no trial whatsoever and no hearing whatsoever. So please allow him to follow through and throw this guy in the gulag because he's trying to save face. Like, obviously the case is going to fall apart, and it did. So Jeanine Pirro had to drop the charges. Well, Trump comes out and says this: I disagree 100% with Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, on the reflecting pool. I don't know what she was thinking. To me, it was a pure case of vandalism that included the grass, which had a big 8647 emblazoned in giant letters on it, and other elements of the surrounding area. There may have been some contractor difficulty, but the major damage was caused by vandals, President Donald J. Trump. To us as a direct result of what he's saying and what he's doing here. They had literal plans to blow up the airports in Greenland to make sure that the U.S. couldn't land on the runway there to try to seize Greenland officially. Stop and think about that. So now not only do our enemies hate us, because of course they hate us, and we're psychotic and we commit war crimes against them all the time, but even our allies now despise us. And it's because of shit like this. This man is completely and utterly unhinged. He's an imperialist. He's a colonialist. He rolls the clock back to like 1700s or 1800s style imperialism and warmongering. I mean, it is out of this world. You're going to steal Greenland? That's what you're going to do? And by the way, let's remember, the tech oligarchs want him to steal Greenland because they want to turn it into their own anarcho-capitalist libertarian paradise where you have tech CEO kings who run everything and build data centers and use the natural cooling of the cold climate to keep those data centers going. I'm not kidding about any of this. Peter Thiel's the one who really is leading the charge, wanting Greenland. You know, we discussed in detail this nefarious plot to try to create what's called the technate of America, which includes stealing Greenland, but also stealing a lot of Central America and South America. By the way, on that exact point, look at this. Venezuela, 51st state he's posting. Whatever happened to fucking America First? America First is out the fucking window. He's trying to expand the territory, but not to anybody's benefit. Not to your benefit, not to the people of Venezuela's benefit, to his own benefit. Because he kidnapped the president of Venezuela, and now he's stealing their oil and their gold and keeping it personally. You cannot make this shit up, bro. You cannot make this shit up. Because I'm focused on many other things. It's called talent, and I have it, and they don't. President Donald J. Trump. Understand something? I'm a golfer, okay? And I'm not bad. I wouldn't say I'm good, but I'm not bad. I'm a 3 handicap, so I'm a relatively low handicap. Been playing all my life. My dad got me into it when I was young. The chance that an 80-year-old man who's obese and doesn't practice shot a 70 on a course which is probably over 6,000 yards and certainly probably over 6,500 or 6,000 yards, there is a 0% chance he shot a 70 in tournament fucking conditions at 80 years old with no practice. Zero. That is the kind of number you would see in a fucking PGA Tour event. Like, it's astonishing the amount he fucking tries to get away with. And so here we go. Ron Filipkowski says, Trump allegedly just won his 43rd club championship today at one of his courses. What a sick joke. Listen. Please join me in congratulating the President of the United States on winning the Super Senior and the Senior Division with a great score of 70.
He won both. That's amazing. Best president of our lifetime. He won. And look at John Cantor stalking. John, get away from him, please. John.
Okay, you got anything on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. It just seemed like they bringing down the system, or the system is crumbling. Dang,
That's a joke. As long as they got him up there, it's a joke.
right.
They can make this kind of news or these kind of videos as long as you got him up there, because it's crazy. Oh yeah. Check this out.
A provision to merge our military technology with Israel is obviously crazy, unless you're in government or you're in media, and you go, "Oh, no big deal. Yeah, they should just take $1 or $1.5 trillion worth of our money and get all of it for free." So of course, because they all work for Israel. But now Capital Empire has an interesting story about the CIA's reaction to that provision. I'm very curious about that. In fact, I'll read you one portion of the article and we'll bring on the author to talk about it. Most mainstream news coverage, they explained, framed the proposed shift as a reflection on Israel's growing economic and military strength or self-sufficiency, referring to how they're going to potentially phase out getting direct contributions from us, which I don't believe at all. But according to the assessment, the CIA views the strategy differently. The spy agency believes that Israel is seeking to insulate the U.S.-Israel alliance from America's changing political landscape by replacing highly visible foreign aid with deeper, longer-lasting forms of military and industrial integration. So the person who wrote that is Ida Chavez, and she joins us now. Ida, welcome.
Hi.
So talk to me about the CIA reaction here. So are they saying, well, this is an end run to get basically American financing and for all their efforts, et cetera, intertwine us so we can't extricate, that was a terrible way of saying it, ourselves from Israel, or are they also saying that's not a good idea? Harvard scientist Dr. William Lee.
Oh, man. Okay.
This was a classified CIA assessment that circulated this week just with the national security apparatus. And the way that these assessments work is it's CIA analysts, so they're just like subject matter experts, and these assessments are compiled like as the spy agency. Like, this is our expert reading of the situation. And so the assessment that went around to the agency and just broader national security apparatus, the assessment was that Israel wants to merge militaries, like defense, tech, industrial complexes with the U.S. to make it more difficult for any future administrations, including administrations that may be more hostile or less supportive of Israel, to make it harder for them to wind this down. And so they just want to entangle as much as possible. And it stems from the fact that they know that they're running out of time. Public opinion is shifting quickly, especially with just all the recent electoral success that like campaigns running on an anti-Israel, like pro-Gaza platform have seen in these big political upsets. Like Israeli officials, it's finally starting to sink in that they're losing Americans it's only going to become harder to get these big multi-billion-dollar aid packages in. Sorry for the cat.
Yeah, that's okay. So it happens to everyone. So we seem to have this unique situation. I'm not sure I've ever seen it where the CIA is being more honest than our media or our politicians.
Yes, yeah.
Because our politicians and our media are saying like, oh, what's the big deal? Of course, you always merge militaries. Remember when we did that with Peru? And I'm like, no, I don't remember that. And now it's perfectly normal, and we get more out of it, right? And it appears that the CIA is going, I don't think so. So wouldn't they be able to have access to all the money we spent on all of our technology, and basically they just kind of get that for free, the trillions of dollars we spent?
Yeah, and they could also very easily spy on all of us. Like the other part of the strategy on how they get us so entangled is they want the U.S. to become dependent on Israeli tech in our own defense systems.
Yeah, that's interesting. See, I hadn't thought of that angle until I read it in your piece in Capital and Empire. So let me quote that. It's graphic 3. Israeli officials also want Israeli technology, intelligence capabilities, and jointly developed weapon systems embedded in the U.S. military itself, making American defense increasingly reliant on Israeli systems. So it's not just that they're taking an enormous amount from us, but if they're enmeshed in our system, then we won't be able to pull out from them, because then some of our technology is kind of cross-streamed. That's probably, I'm sure, not the technically correct way of saying it. But all of this is in an effort to get us to a situation where no matter what Israel does, if they do 12 genocides in a row, endless wars, we just can't quit them.
Yeah. And Israeli officials are already in contact with prominent Americans in tech. There were no specific names that were mentioned in the assessment, but those talks have been ongoing. They're already strategizing with prominent American figures on how can we sell the American public on just incorporating Israeli tech into American defense systems, and how can we start doing joint investment, joint research and development.
So what are we talking about here? So we don't know. I just want to preface that, but people that are in defense tech are like companies like Palantir, right? So is that the field we're talking about? Companies like that, where they...
I believe so. That's a safe guess.
Yeah, so then the Israelis are going to them and saying, use your political and media power to make sure that American government is enmeshed in the Israeli government, and presumably you'll get contracts from both.
Yeah, and there would be no guardrails, on the strategy. If things are already not transparent, even less transparency.
For a minute.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Technology. Let me ask you a question. If we needed technology of Israel or France or Holland or wherever, couldn't we just buy it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Problem solved. Okay. They make it sound like it's magical, and then, oh no, we wouldn't want to make money off of it. No, our companies never do that, right? No.
Blatantly wrong. And then for the second question, yes, I would say the media, mainstream media, and I guess just allied, Democratic and Republican officials are kind of the last people and institutions to really acknowledge reality. And I think one of the things that's so concerning about this assessment that I reported on is the strategy, it's kind of smart by shifting away from those direct votes on aid, which are becoming more and more politically contentious and just difficult to do, and the shift to just like merging militaries and tech and defense. It makes it much harder for the general public to track. It makes for like a much more complex narrative. Like just an up and down vote on an arms package is just easier to kind of follow and see. And so,
Okay. What you think?
Well, Brother Leonard, the U.S. and Israel always been tied together. Like you said, it don't matter what Israel do. You know, they always right there.
Right. Notice what she said about it, they turned against them on the political side, pertaining
Right.
to November. So
Mm,
it's a wash. So, yeah.
mm.
So what we're gonna do is when we down to our Q&A, we're gonna pick this scripture and we'll break that scripture down and then we'll put the link out for anybody that have any questions, any comments from previous classes during last week, whatever, during their studying. If they have any questions or anybody have any comments about this class, the objective of it or whatever. You got a scripture you want to shine a light on?
Shalom, yes sir, Brother Leonard. Can I go to this Jeremiah 29,
Okay.
and it's just verses 11 through 14, and it, excuse me, and it says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall you call upon me, and you shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you, and you shall seek me and find me. You shall search for me with all your heart, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place whence I have caused you to be carried away captive." And shalom, that was Jeremiah 29, verses 11 through 14.
Okay. You got anything on that?
Right. Yes, sir, Brother Leonard, just how um this is kind of the same process of was not kind of the same. The Lord of hosts, he always does the same thing. Excuse me. So I know how you showed us in the class, like we we didn't come from the land of Israel. You know, we came from the west coast of Africa.
Right.
So that's where we're getting ready to head back to.
Right. It's a process. Y'all, wherever we was taken away from is where he gonna return us to. And in this last captivity, when they came and got us with the slave ships, brought us to America, we had already previously left our homeland and we was on the west coast of Africa. So when you understand that he's going to take us back from the place which he got us from, which is the west coast, and then from there we we see in Zephaniah from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, which is the west coast, where the Niger River and all that, where they got it from. He's gonna call his dispersed back to back to our homeland. Okay,
Right, yes, sir.
does it make any sense?
Shalom, yes, sir.
Okay, so
Mhm.
we'll go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions, any comments, anything you want to shine a light on?
Right, yeah, yes, sir. I gotta when I was reading again, Brother Leonard, that the Legend of the Jews, this
Okay,
the from the Jewish Bible or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, and in there when it said that that Canaan, right? I mean that Nimrod is the son of Canaan. It also mentioned that Nimrod's mother had the same kind of birth pains as
Rebecca.
yes sir, as Rebecca and Eve, and yeah, and so I wanted to know what you thought about that.
Well, I have to tell you the truth. That's my first time hearing that. But
Mm,
I know that the story of Nimrod is it's a Trinity. That's where you get the Trinity from. Nimrod, his wife Smyrna, and then they had a son together, Topaz. Tomaz
okay, right. Mm-hmm,
Tomaz is a
mm-hmm.
god, but the trick to that is which might tie to what you're saying is not only is Nimrod wife Smyrna's whatever her name is his wife, but she also his mother.
Come on. What,
Yeah,
huh?
he married his mom. So that could be the situation with the trouble she had with her pregnancy with Tomaz.
Wow. Right, yes, sir. Right.
Well, that's on when you said that. That's the only thing I can see where she would have birth pain would be that what I'm saying the unlawful birth. I mean unlawful consummation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay.
Ain't that something?
Interesting. Right. Yeah. I'm like, what? Okay. And then Berlin, another thing that it says in there is where is it at? Okay. So Berlin in the King James where it says that Noah cursed Canaan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get to that real quick. But where it says Noah cursed Canaan, is the that he's putting the mark of Cain on there, or did they leave out the detail like from Jubilees, like where they say if you go take Shem's land, then you're gonna be cursed?
What you looking at is a double curse.
Nah,
Noah cursed
okay,
him. Noah cursed him, and then he got cursed by the Lord of Hosts when he took the land.
okay,
You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
He cursed from Noah because of, like we just talked about, an unlawful union. He came about from Ham sleeping with Noah's wife. I mean, not
right.
Ham, but
Japhet,
Japhet sleeping with Noah's wife.
sir. Mm-hmm.
So then when Noah awakened, he understood what his son had done. He had beat his wife, penetrated his wife, and left Japhet. Well, none of his son is Cain descendants. The Most High told Noah to get a male and a female from all flesh before he got on the boat. So he got a male and a female from Cain's lineage. He got a male and a female from the 6th day man, and he got a male and a female from the 8th day man, which is Adam. Adam was formed on the 8th day.
Right,
See?
sir.
Yeah.
And then Berlin and yes, sir. And Berlin, I only got one more question, sir. And it's from the same book. And in here, I have first this the whole reason why I started reading the book. So this is in this Legend of the Jews, uh, chapter 1, book 1, chapter 5, and then verse 119. But this is talking about yes, sir. This is talking about Melchizedek, brother Leonard. And it says in the spite of his great success, um, in spite of his great success, Abraham nevertheless was concerned about the issue of war. He feared that the prohibition against shedding the blood of man had been transgressed, and he had dreaded the resentment of Shem, whose descendants had perished in the encounter. But God reassured him and said, "Be not afraid. Thou hast but extirpated the thorns, and as to Shem, he will bless thee rather than curse thee." So it was. When Abraham returned from the war, Shem, or as he is sometimes called, Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, the priest of God Most High, and king of Jerusalem, came forth to meet him with bread and wine. And his high priest instructed Abraham in the laws of the priesthood and in the Torah, well, that's a lot, and in the Torah to prove his friendship for him, and he blessed him and called him the partner of God. And they kind of it started getting kind of crazy after that, and I know some stuff in there was kind of different too, but I wanted to ask about because right there, brother Leonard, he a Parkside. And when I was reading like some of this, the same timeline, like with Elam, Abraham like went to war with like Elam, uh, with Charlemagne or whatever, the king of Elam, and then yes, sir. So I was wondering, this kind of seemed like it adds up because other people don't know that Shem was alive at this time.
Right.
So it said Abraham had feared that Shem was gone because Abraham had won that battle. So it said he was scared that Shem wouldn't welcome him with open arms. But uh, Shem is righteous though. He know some of his kids was wicked.
Exactly. Right. Right. So we know we found out about um, most of those people. A lot of those people that were tied to that kingdom of Nimrod was Shem niggas.
Right. Yes, sir.
We found that out like Edom. And then we
Right.
saw
Hmm.
whenever they went to Nimrod, when they went to the land of Shinar to find the plains of Shinar, Asher was with him,
Right.
and which eventually became Assyrian, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we saw, then it makes sense now. We know that uh, that's why he sent Jonah to Syria. Them was Hebrews,
Okay. Right. Yes, sir. Right.
Nineveh,
Hmm.
Nineveh,
Nineveh. Hmm.
right?
Right. Right.
Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got anything else?
And no, no, sir. No, that was my last question.
Okay, yeah. Don't look like we have nobody else got anything. Yeah. So yeah, pertaining to the brother that was on there earlier, it's a non-Messianic channel, and by that we mean that we don't subscribe to the New Testament. We know where the origins of it, know where it came from. Who JC is. He's a concoction of the Greeks when they came on the scene with Hellenistic. They fused in. It's a collaboration of Buddhism, uh, uh, Greeks religion, and Egypt, Horus. All that. That's what he is. As a matter of fact, when it tells us in Daniel when Alexander died after ruling for 12 years, he divided his kingdom up with his four generals, and one of the generals, Bartholomew, went to Egypt. That's the king of the south, and he made the Egyptians make him out of a god, and that's when they created Serapis, the first white god. And then when Constantine came on the scene, and he was looking for a religion for his empire, his newly found empire, the Holy Roman Empire, he brought Serapis to the Council of Nicaea, and eventually Serapis became Zeus Christos, which ended up being Jesus the Christ. Okay, okay, you got anything else before we go?
Shalom. No, no, sir.
Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. We got our reading to the Tanak night tomorrow night. It starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. Normally lasts about 2 hours. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.